Actually, are here in the Imus Morning program. Well, one thing you won't get on the Today Show or Good Morning America is a discussion with the United States Senator about the chubby on the preacher and the Little Mermaid, will you?
I don't think so. No, I
No, that's not going to happen over there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, got to go over these things a little
Well, sure.
more carefully. We do have a solution to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We talked to the biggest jerk in Santa Fe, my brother, Fred Imus, owner and operator of the Auto Body Express, coming up here in just a little bit. They had the big protest at the Auto Body Express on Saturday, you know.
Yeah.
Some Hispanics in Santa Fe are still mad at Fred for something he said on this program in which he was about half kidding.
Right.
And has since apologized for. So they're now protesting there at the Auto Body Express. They were Saturday.
Oh, jeez.
About 20 of them, marching around with their little signs and stuff. And so my brother's solution now to exacerbate the problem further is to open a topless joint.
Yeah.
To be in competition with where he and Bob go all the time, a place called Cheech, right, Fred?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the latest we have from...
Man.
You know, I've always said Janet Reno was an attractive woman, and now I got a whole country backing me up.
Well, yeah. How come none of your blow-up dolls look like Janet Reno?
Well, one of them does, but she's special. I never show her on TV. I keep the special ones to myself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right. Charles has the news.
Well, why don't you hang up on me again?
I didn't hang... I hung up
You
on...
always hang up on me. I'm telling you, I never saw anybody like that that's almost 60. And
I'm not almost 60. What are you talking about?
Oh, 70, I'm sorry. and gets the least bit irritated.
No, I'm not going to... No, here's what he said. My brother drives down to Phoenix. He goes from Santa Fe to Phoenix because his former father-in-law, Al, what's his name?
Baker.
Al Baker.
Yeah. Okay.
Was a lovely guy.
All right.
By the way, he's one of the nicest people I've ever known.
Yeah.
And his wife is a lovely woman, too. Isn't she, Fred?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. And your ex-wife, she's one of the great women of all time.
Shut up.
God, we love her,
You
too.
know, quit this, you know?
Okay. Anyway, Fred drives down there because they're
You've
having...
got a nice mouth.
They're having... They're Al and... what's his wife's name?
Dot.
Well, I know, by the way. I mean, I know from years ago. They're having their 50th wedding anniversary.
You remember?
Sort of. So they drive down. Fred drives down from Santa Fe. It's 8 hours. He drives down for the big party they have, which I thought was pretty nice.
That is nice. Sure.
For his ex-in-law.
Yeah,
in-laws.
that's very nice.
And then drives back on Sunday.
All right.
And so then calls me, and he said something that irritated me, and which I pointed out.
Oh, well, you know what I said, didn't you?
What?
I said hello.
So rather
you
than...
you know, like them old fools I used to work with on the railroad?
Yeah.
You never know. You're walking on eggshells because you know whatever you say, even hello, they could blow up. I'm telling you.
So he said something that irritated me, so I just hung up on him. So Deidre comes downstairs, and she says, did you just hang up on... She had been talking to Fred because she and Fred get along great, you know. She comes downstairs, she said, did you just hang up on Fred? And I said, yes. And she said, why? And I said, I don't want to go into it. It's not important. He irritated me, and rather than fight with him, I just hung up.
Terminated the conversation. That's all.
Now, understand, I love Fred as much as anybody in this world. Almost as much as I do Deidre. Almost. So, I mean, you know. I hang up on Charles. I love Charles. I hang up on Charles all the time. Don't I?
Yes.
Well, I understand that.
I do, too.
And Charles is a little sweetheart, never does anything. So, anyway.
Well, Charles made the same mistake I did.
Hello.
He asked you how you were doing. And you just hung up, you know.
Anyway, we'll talk to Fred in a minute. Charles has the news. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Fred. Good morning, I-Man. An Iraqi news agency reports an American U-2's made another flight over into Iraqi airspace. No incident. The news agency quotes an official as saying the U-2 flew out of range of Iraq's defense units. Iraq's UN ambassador Nizar Hamdoun telling NBC that he did not believe his government would make good on the threat for the time being to shoot down U-2s. However, he said Iraq will continue to protest the surveillance flights. Hamdoun, who also appeared on Fox News Sunday, defended Iraq's use of so-called human shields.
I think the effort of getting the people
too
who
late.
volunteered to get inside those sites was to prevent war, to prevent military bombing. And I think this is a very legitimate.
Members of the UN weapons inspection team are back on the job in Iraq, but they are not being permitted to go everywhere they would like to go. And the U.S. says the crisis, therefore, is not over because they can't get into 63 sites, including Saddam Hussein's 47 presidential compounds, although, according to Tom Aspel this morning, they have not actually tried to penetrate those sites as yet, but probably will be preparing to do so in the very near future.
He said penetrate.
Iraq says it's for security reasons.
Penetrate. You said penetrate.
Yes, I did, Ivan. Crash the doors, as it were.
Yeah.
Defense Secretary William Cohen said the inspectors had better be allowed to do their job, and that means total access.
Saddam Hussein has ruled 63 sites off limits. Those cannot be off limits. And once the inspectors start to push to get access to these particular sites, then they find they're either delayed or simply obstructed and refuse. That cannot continue. And so that's why it's important to have complete access.
You notice how Fred will just talk when you're talking? Do you have
I was asking Katya if she went to Taos to ski, and I just asked her how her trip was.
Take the phone away from your mouth, you old fool, so you're not interrupting Charles when he's trying to do the news. God.
What did you do this weekend, Diane?
Go ahead, Charles.
Cohen says the U.S. military buildup in the Persian Gulf will continue.
The buildup was ordered last week by President Clinton. I think it was a very clear and focused decision that he made about what needed to be done, and I believe the president's going to continue to keep the force there as long as he feels is necessary.
The head of the UN inspection team said Iraq has been cooperating at least to some degree since the resumption of weapons inspections over the weekend, but he refused to say what the teams have been finding, if they have been locating anything to this point.
Okay, here now from Meet the Press on Sunday, something Charles and I noticed, and we just seized on this simply because we could and because we noticed it. We have Jim Miklaszewski and Tim Ressert, and they're talking to Secretary of State William Cohen, or Secretary of Defense William Cohen, and they asked almost identical questions in a space of about 30 seconds. First Miklaszewski and then Ressert. Can you roll the tape? We'll be able to hear it.
And finally, how long will this military buildup in the Gulf continue? How long are you willing to keep U.S. troops at this level in the Persian Gulf?
As long as the President of the United States feels it's necessary.
How long will the current U.S. buildup in the Gulf remain there?
Well, the buildup was ordered last week by President Clinton. I think it was a very clear and focused decision that he made about what needed to be done, and I believe the president's going to continue to keep the force there as long as he feels is necessary.
Now, he had answered the question just 1 minute before. Obviously, Ressert's got Miklaszewski there, who he clearly hates, and he probably heard him on this program, didn't even know he worked for NBC News. They heard him on our program and figured, well, hell, I'll put him on. Imus likes him, and I like Imus, and Imus likes me, and why not? So, and Miklaszewski asked a good question. Ressert is sitting there grinding his teeth, just waiting to get back in, thinking about that big Power Jeopardy
Fist pump
that he's going to do in that funky chicken moonwalk thing he was into. And Cohen... I had to realize he'd answered the same. Well,
yes,
of course he did.
It was obvious that he had. Yeah.
All right, it's 16 after the hour, and I am Mr. We're talking with Fred Ives from Santa Fe, New Mexico, my jerk brother. And on the phone with us now is Mark from Milwaukee. Good morning, Mark.
Hi, Imus. It's Mark from Milwaukee again. Of course, I'm not from Milwaukee anymore. I was only in Milwaukee for a little while before my mother moved here, and I had to come with her because I live in her basement. That's what the court said I had to have happen ever since they found that head in my freezer. But, I'm really worried about you because this is that festive holiday season time of year, and I know that in the past you've never had anywhere to go on Thanksgiving. That is before Deirdre, of course, but I know it can be a drag for a person to cook a holiday meal for just 2 people. I mean, even when it's just an organic tofu and kale loaf, myself. It's an awful lot of work for just 2 people, so if I may be so bold, I would like to invite you over to my house for Thanksgiving. Well, actually, it's not my house. It's my mother's house, but I live in the basement, and she won't really bother us as long as I give her a couple of extra doses of her medication. No, sir, she won't be bothering us at all. And then we could just relax and just enjoy the day together, you, me, and Deirdre, without all the annoying interruptions. No, Mom, I can't give you a bath right now. I'm busy. I'd love to cook for you both, even though I know Deirdre's a vegetarian. She's never had my cooking. I mean, I make a turkey like nobody else. It's a big old turkey, and it's got plenty of white meat on it. Don't you, turkey? Don't you? Plenty of white meat. Answer me! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snap by, man, but the turkey's a little unconscious at the moment. I guess I must have hit him a little too hard when he came down to read the meter. But as soon as I'm done stuffing him, he's going right in the oven. Because he weighs about 200 pounds, so it'll take a few days for him to cook. Gotta make sure he's cooked. Wouldn't want anybody getting sick.
Mark, say hi to my brother Fred.
Oh, I can't believe I'm actually talking to Fred and Don. It's like I have a giant roll of sights. It's two Imuses at once. You know, Fred, I want to be just like your brother, but I want to be just like you too. I haven't cut my hair or shaved in 2 years, and I bought a couple of blow-up dolls.
Cut your throat, not your hair.
Hey, Fred, can I ask you a question?
No.
Are your blow-up dolls really annoying? Because mine never shut up.
It is 18 after the hour.
Bird dog. Just a walking bird dog. If you don't know how to do it, show you how to walk bird dog. Come on now, come on. Imus in the morning.
Coming up on 24 after the hour, and I am Imus in the morning. Warner Wolf with sports is coming up. Giants and Redskins tied last night at 7 each after a full period of overtime, which was one of the worst. Well, I guess the game was okay, but there's not very, I don't know, there's a lot of defense. It was just a tedious game. So, but the Jets won, and New England beat Miami, which I was happy about. And Green Bay Packers just killed Dallas, which I'm only happy about, to see the agony all over Jerry Jones's face. All right, here from the Pentagon. It's 27 after the hour, and it's time for sports, and here's Warner Wolf.
Imus in the morning, 2020 sports. If you had Ross Perot and 9% of the vote, you lost. Here's Warner Wolf.
Good morning, Warner.
Good morning. Thank you, I-Man. Redskins and Giants played almost 4 hours last night to a 7-7 overtime tie. 22 punts in the game. So if you like punts, this was your game. Both teams missed 54-yard field goals in the overtime. The Redskins, however, win the Bonehead Award for the most bozos on one team. First quarterback Gus Frerotte, after celebrating his touchdown run, banged his head against the wall, jamming his neck, missing the second half. And then in the overtime, wide receiver Michael Westbrook cost the Skins 15 yards while they were driving for a winning field goal by taking off his helmet. Both Frerotte and Westbrook will appear next week on The Gong Show. If you had the Cowboys in 27, you lost. The Packers broke a 17-17 tie, beat Dallas 45-17. Favre threw for 4, and Dorsey Levens broke Jim Taylor's single-game rushing record. Here's Jim Irwin and Max McGee of WTMJ.
Third and goal at the 5. He's the only guy left. They got to give it to him. All right, here's Brett. Waits for the snap from center. Gives it off to Dorsey Levens. Here's the record. Got it. Touchdown by Dorsey Levens as he breaks Jimmy Taylor's record. How about that? What a great moment for Dorsey Levens.
190 yards and 33 carries before being blown up. The Patriots beat the Dolphins 27-24. Marino had 2 touchdown passes, but unfortunately they were both caught by the Patriots. In Chicago, Tampa lost to the Bears. The Buccaneers now 0-17 in games when the temperature is 42 degrees or less.
Shut up.
Get him out.
Get Warner out of here.
49ers, 11 in a row, beat the Chargers. Lions by 22 over the Colts. Barry Sanders, 216 yards, now only 102 yards behind Eric Dickerson, the second all-time leading rusher. How much is a coach worth?
How much?
Well, the Jets were 0-6 last year in games decided by 6 points or less. They're already 5-1 this year. under the same circumstances, beating the Vikings 23-21 with the Vikes trying to run in the two-point conversion on the last play of the game. Broncos home tonight, 8.5-point favorite over the Raiders. NBA, Lakers made it 11 in a row without Shaq, beating the Clippers, now only 4 away from tying the record. If ever you needed a reason to say boxing was either fixed or just filled with incompetence, 2 judges voted for Shannon Briggs and 1 judge a draw in Saturday night's George Foreman-Briggs fight, after Foreman pounded out Briggs for 12 rounds, landing at least 300 left jabs in Briggs' face, staggering Briggs in the 11th and 12th rounds.
Idiot.
And finally, in the National Hockey League last night, in Greensboro, where they're still giving away a car per game, an overflow crowd of 5,500 jammed into the 20,000-seat Greensboro Coliseum to see the Carolina Hurricanes and Flames play to a 3-3 tie, which shows you people in Greensboro not only don't care about hockey, they don't care about cars. Get them out of here. For Imus of the Morning Sports, this is Warner Wolf.
Fred's in Santa Fe at the Auto Body Express, where how many protesters showed up there Saturday, Fred?
It looked like, I have photographs of them, looks like maybe 20, 25.
Were they carrying signs?
Yeah.
What did the sign say?
No Moss Imus. A boycott Auto Body Express, which I find that the most amusing one.
Yeah.
Because, see, nobody, in the last 4 years, nobody from Santa Fe has ever come in here.
Right.
Or ever bought any Auto Body Express products.
Right.
So you'd think somebody would, during this, would be bright enough to figure out how can you do something that you're already doing. I mean, it doesn't make sense, you know. You've already done this for the past 4 years, so why would you put a sign up and claim you're going to do it now?
In other words, they're already boycotting you.
Yeah, and then the thing is, you know what, the boycott's a dangerous word.
Right.
Because it's a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah.
So I will show them how it works.
Oh, what are
because they have it.
What are you going to do now?
You know what the thing is? I'm not going to show my hand to the player sitting next to me.
Okay. But you have a plan.
I have a plan.
Okay.
So, my man has a plan. My man's a man.
You know, here's the worst part of this whole thing is
But you know,
my name is on the line of credit at Chase for this Auto Body Express empire. And I mean, I guess you're making some money, aren't you, Fred?
Yeah, my name's on it too, except I have nothing to lose.
That doesn't make any difference. What are they going to take? My pickup from you, or your? Well, I guess they could take your house, your property, stuff like that. But anyway, that's not the point. So every time I have a conversation with the Zen Master, the Zen Master thinks we're making millions of dollars. He doesn't understand. We're making no money. There's no money involved in this. It's for who knows what it's for. So every time we have a big season, big Christmas season, and then I get a call from Robert Anders. You know what he says? We have to up the line of credit. Why? Well, we've used all we had.
There you go.
Well, the thing is, you know, we're experiencing growing pains. You know?
Shut up.
And it takes businesses a while. You know what? It takes businesses a while to reach that one plateau, and it's a rough road at a certain point. You know, and then you get your head above water.
I understand all that. Well, anyway. Most of the business that Fred, in fact, all of the business Fred does, is from people around the country, although a lot of people from Albuquerque come up. But you're telling me that you do no business with anybody in Santa Fe.
That is correct.
Except all the salsa's made in Santa Fe, right?
Today it is, yes.
We're not thinking about changing that, are we?
No, you know, you have to consider everything, you know?
Well, see, now this will be another one of these just, it's not a deal where we're overreacting again.
No, I'm not overreacting. That's why I'm not saying anything. So I wouldn't overreact. I never overreact anymore. I've learned. I've grown.
I'll have a conversation with you at 10 o'clock Eastern time.
No. So I'm going to be somewhere. I'll be anywhere.
No, you're not going to be any place. You'll be answering that phone. All right, my brother's appearing on behalf of your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. I got my Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited on Friday, Fred.
You did?
Yeah.
How's it run?
It runs faster than that Ford pickup.
Good grief. Man.
No, it doesn't.
It absolutely does.
Holy cow.
When you jump on that thing, it actually will pin you to the seat.
Oh.
In fact, you have to be careful with it. And they've
you do, because, when you add speed, you have to add safety. I think you have to make sure that they've done that with the automobile.
They have.
So.
I wouldn't look for problems with the Jeep, Fred.
No, I'm just saying you want to take all those into consideration, those things. I mean,
they've done all of those things, you idiot.
But you just want to be careful driving it fast, because, none of them are safe at too high a speed.
There is no dumber person than him.
I think he's suggesting that Jeep has taken
They
all
have
that into
already
consideration.
done all of that.
And it's all there, man.
Yeah. What were your football picks, Fred?
I didn't do too good. I was 3-3. Well, no, actually 3-4 and 1 in the tie. Well, how do you figure that? Although
we figure you lost.
You
were 2-4-1.
Well, I picked the Martha's Vineyard Nantucket game correctly. Martha's Vineyard won 21-8 over in Nantucket in their 50th meeting. I'm very proud of picking that game correct. And that's when football matters in high school. It doesn't, when you get in the pros, it matters no more. It's just doesn't mean as much as it does in high school. So I'm very proud of picking this Martha's Vineyard game correctly.
I mean, that's just the weakest excuse. Who do you like in tonight's game, Denver, Oakland? Well, probably Denver, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm picking, this is not the thing to do, by the way, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm picking Oakland because I like Jeff George.
Right.
Because you know what I like about him?
Right.
He's like if a receiver drops a ball,
right,
he doesn't go through all these gyrations trying to embarrass the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He just claps his hand, goes up and calls another play,
Right.
Plus, he gets that jet thing going that, George to jet could be dangerous tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
I'm picking Oakland because I like Jeff George, and I know that's not the way to pick things, but I like him.
What's wrong with Elway and the Broncos?
Nothing's wrong. I just like Jeff George better, so I like Elway, of course.
Now, this will give you an idea. My brother probably does. One of the biggest markets for the Auto Body Express in the country is Denver.
Yeah.
More people.
Elway's a great guy, I tell you, man.
Be quiet. More people go from Denver to Santa Fe to visit the Auto Body Express than almost any city in the country. And that's why we are in the state we're in with this Auto Body Express is because we have an idiot like this in charge.
No, I said I love Elway. I love the Broncos.
Now he's got Hispanics out there running around with their signs, screaming about nothing. By the way, my brother is about half serious. I mean, they're boycotting something that doesn't do any business in Santa Fe anyway.
Over a silly issue.
Over a silly issue.
Yeah.
Half of my brother's employees are Hispanics. Half of them.
Case closed.
So case closed.
Yeah.
Isn't that true, Fred?
Martha's Vineyard 21, Nantucket 8.
23 at the late hour.
Let's get ready to rumble!
How would you like to be able to read the morning newspaper in 10 minutes? Or polish off a novel on your lunch break? Or read all about your new computer in one evening? Think about that, because when you go through the new Reading Genius Home Study course, you'll read so much faster, you'll be astounded at how quickly you get to the last page. The Reading Genius Home Study course is easy, it's systematic, it takes just a few short hours, and anybody can do it. You'll read 200% faster than you do right now with better memory and comprehension, or your money back. That includes business publications, newspapers, novels, self-help books, even technical reading. This is the same reading technology that's been used by employees at Apple Computer and Hewlett-Packard and average readers who have become some of the world's fastest readers. Reading Genius improves your reading speed and memory by 200% or your money back.
Away where they grows a lot of corn. Lady got one fruitful loin, 'cause 7 little babies done just been born. Now the world gone infant crazy with this septuplet ballyhoo. Mom and daddy sure been multiplying. Now they gonna be lullabying, 'cause they can't stop them all from crying. So her tubes they be a-tying. They got them 7 baby blues. Like jack rabbits they been breeding. Got themselves a itty-bitty kitty committee. Sure hope mama ain't breastfeeding, 'cause she gon' find she's short by at least 5 titties. Her lactation situation's gonna wind up pretty bruised. She done had a puppy litter, got a nursery full of critters. Better find a babysitter before they have to commit her. She got them 7 baby blues. You'd think that all them chillin' would cost one pretty price. Except when it come time for billing, here come free money and merchandise. Well, it sure do sound endearing, so I believe that life just won't be as complete unless old blind Mississippi be hearing the pitter-patter of 30 or 40 little pig feet. And that cash register a-ringing with every goo-goo-ga-goo-goo. That's why I be contemplating doing some copulating and end up procreating, 'cause they sure be compensating. There's a whole lot of green in them baby pink and baby blue.
Blind Mississippi. White boy pig fees too, please.
It's Washington Power Week.
Washington Power Week on Jeopardy. And last night, Catherine Cryer, and for some reason, Tom Clancy, the novelist, and Tim Russert. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Russert can't answer anything.
He's just standing there.
He spent the whole half hour being humiliated. Well, yes, he won. By default, he backs into it.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He pumps his fist and goes like this, giving a thumbs up to... It was so embarrassing. I mean, it made your skin crawl.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
Poor Luke's got to go to school today, the kids have recognized his dad's a fat loser, and he backed into this thing.
They're going to be on him.
God almighty. Luke probably put himself up for adoption.
You big dunce. Right.
But he just should have gracefully accepted this victory, but not pumping your fist. I like this, the thumb up, which is stupid.
98.1 The Peak, WPEK.
Hello, Tiger fans. This is Rick Barnes reminding you to join the voice of the Tigers, Jim Phillips, along with Tim Beret and Don Munson for all the exciting action of Clemson Tiger basketball. Last year, we made it all the way to San Antonio, Texas in the Sweet 16. And excitement for this year is...
It is 11 minutes till the hour, and I am this morning. I was just talking to Fred, and he said that he was driving back from Phoenix, and whenever you pull over to the side of the road in Arizona, a highway patrolman will pull up behind you. That's how many of them there are out there, to make sure everything's all right.
Yeah.
Check on you.
Gotcha.
So Fred pulls over in his truck, and between his seats, he's got a .357 Magnum in plain view, loaded. And on the seat, he's got a pistol grip 12-gauge shotgun that he carries with him. So the highway patrolman walks up, and he looks on the Jeep, and he says, "Yeah, looks like everything's all right. See you later." Just turns right around and goes back, gets in the car, and takes off.
Can you? I mean, is it okay if you have it out? I mean,
I guess it is. I guess it is. I guess it was.
Those are the rules out there.
I guess so.
Get it in plain sight.
In Arizona, you can wear. I've done it. I do it. You can wear a gun on your hip. I carry my Magnum. Why? I carry two .357 Magnums with me at all times.
Oh my God!
And if you mess with me, I will shoot you.
No, come on. That's a done
That's
deal.
the end of that.
Sure.
Full of lead. I won't. I've never pulled a gun on anybody, but if I ever do, I'm going to shoot them. No, I have pulled a gun on. I have pulled a gun on a couple of people, just to see if we couldn't reach an understanding.
Yeah.
Lou. Which we were able to reach. I pulled one on Lou.
Yeah. Pulled one on Jane.
Pulled one on Jane.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Now, you might think this is funny, but damn it, I'm not kidding around.
Let me.
I was married
and every
for 15
piece of
years.
furniture that she could lift.
Well.
And then one time I locked her out of the house, and she was out there to have these big bricks. And I had this really nice 62 Impala, and she's throwing them up against the car.
If your radio like sucks in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
I stayed away from her for 10 years,
Well,
man.
then why'd you name a dog after her?
Well, I named a horse after her.
You did?
And I named a dog because I wanted to name a bitch and a nag after her.
Imus in the morning.
98.1 The Peak. WPEK.
There is a miss.
How many, Wanna?
3 or less. Could be overtime, as a matter of fact.
That's it. Well, no, that's like, Charles, help me here. That's like almost an average. Just threw that in, right, Bernie?
Yeah, he just...
Oh, yeah, could be overtime. Could be a ice storm. Could be an eclipse.
Sun could explode.
Yeah.
Every person that played the office pool in the country.
Yeah.
Wow. Take the Giants in 5.5 overtime. They cleaned up.
We don't accept that. You either win or you lose.
You know what?
Tonight, Oakland, Denver. Denver's favored by 9.5.
That's right.
Forget the points. Who's going to win the game?
Well, he can't do it. He cannot. One goes with the other.
All right. All right.
It's not the Denver Broncos. It's the Denver Broncos 8.5.
It is 8.5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Will they cover?
Oh, will they? Now, see? Now, that's a good question.
Oh, okay.
Will they cover?
Yeah.
Will they win by 8.5?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Take Denver, give 8.5.
So they will win the game then?
Oh, sure. Well, sure. When you give,
all right.
you have to win.
Yeah. Well, you got to explain this to me. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's okay then.
But when you take...
Will it go into overtime? It could.
No.
It could.
Warner says good.
Why don't you just do like you did Friday? But you say it could go in overtime.
From Little Mermaid, is that where you're going?
Well, yeah,
of course
that's where you're That's where I was going to go. Absolutely.
So Eisner's plan is working.
How's it working?
He's got you talking about clergy members
being
perverted and whatnot.
No.
Beautiful.
I am not suggesting Father Tom is perverted. I think it's a fair question to ask, don't you?
No.
It's not?
Absolutely not.
Would it be okay if I ask it of the rabbi?
That's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. See? Some Christians, God almighty.
No, that would be... But we're not running the film studios with portraying rabbis doing such things.
Oh, man.
Unlike our other bagel-eating friend.
Well, you're not suggesting that Michael Eisner had knowledge.
All I'm saying is maybe Farrakhan has a point.
What's wrong with you?
What's on tape? It's on the tape. Play the tape.
I understand it's on tape, but...
Among many other things.
Well, I'm sure. So you're telling me that Michael Eisner knew that the priest got a chubby and that the preacher got a chubby in a mermaid field?
All I'm saying is there are a lot of coincidences. Priests portrayed as homosexuals in the movies by the Weinstein brothers and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying.
You're just an idiot. God almighty.
I'm going to get me a bow tie.
Between Fred and Bernard.
It's a problem.
And whenever he's here, kinky. You know, you're just dealing with people who are brain dead.
I think Bo Dietl's calling in right now.
And then Bo Dietl.
Yeah.
Between Bo Dietl, Bernie, and Fred. I mean, you know. Nightmare. Anyway, and the priest and rabbi will be here tomorrow.
Great.
And we'll try to get into all that whole mermaid situation.
See what he thinks about it.
Yeah. And
that's legitimate.
Absolutely.
With their opinions, certainly.
And Senator Bob Kerrey. So that's all coming up.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take F-T-C-B. Suck it to me, Senator, say. Suck it to me, Imus in the morning.
Minute Silly Hour here in the Imus Morning program. Good morning, Mr. Marshall.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
You called?
Who is this?
This is Minerva.
Well, hi, Minerva. How are you?
Fine.
We are conducting a contest for the Reader's Digest magazine.
Oh, no, so I'm not interested. I thought this was an emergency call.
An emergency?
Bye-bye.
Hello?
No. Skank.
She wasn't going to have any of that, right?
Nuh-uh.
I was going to tell her that she could win $1 million if she could tell me at which high school Lester Roadhog Moran and the Cadillac Cowboys. Did we find a Dwight Yoakam thing?
Still looking. They're still looking for it.
I have lost my Under the Covers Dwight Yoakam CD.
No way.
Man.
I can't find it.
Good grief. How did these things happen?
No, I don't know. I was going to play Good Time Charlie Got the Blues. But I can't
Well,
find
maybe you're not. Dead gum.
it. What that thing's all about. Well. Let's listen to a little bit of it.
Everybody's gone away. Said they're moving to LA. Not a soul I know around. Everybody's leaving town. Some call it a freight, some call it a plane. Said find the sunshine, leave the rain. Say this town will waste your time. Guess they're right, it's wasting mine. Some gotta win, some gotta lose. A good time Charlie's got the blues.
Got a little pressure for this, don't he?
Good time Charlie's got the blues.
Little taste of Dwight Yoakam and Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues from this album that Dwight has done, where he's recorded a bunch of songs that other people already did.
Yep. Covered them up.
You know, so how about some good ones?
You darn right.
He and Sheryl Crow do Baby Don't Go, the old Sonny and Cher thing, which, well, I know, you know, it didn't come to blows, but it did get ugly here.
Yeah, it did.
When Dwight was here on Friday.
There was rancor in the air.
Dwight was annoyed with me because I blew up his version of Baby Don't Go with Sheryl Crow, claiming Sheryl Crow can't sing, and she can't. Well, she can sing, but she can't sing that song. So, but then Dwight, but I don't know, when I did play it while Dwight was here, I don't know, it sounded a little bit better.
Grew on you a little bit, but...
But Dwight Yoakam makes great records, period.
He's a great artist, period.
So y'all go out to the record store and get Come On Christmas and Under the Covers, and while you're at it, pick up Delbert McClinton's One of the Fortunate Few.
Oh.
You know, Delbert's on the country charts with Send Me Angels.
Is he really?
Well, things are happening for Delbert, and they continue to happen for Dwight.
1, 2, 3. Imus in the morning.
Natural human need to give thanks for blessings. It's in all primitive cultures. It's the only cultures that have eliminated the need for gratitude and thanksgiving, which connects to the holiday we're about to celebrate, seems to be our culture. Every other culture knows that most of what we get, we don't deserve. So there's a need to give thanks for what we have. And finally, I think this is really at the heart of it, and it's the only thing that all the religions in the world are absolutely strong about, and that is we have to face our death and the death of those we love. And religion teaches us that after you die, it isn't the end of you. There's something that comes after death.
That even though your body dies, your soul goes on, and that love continues. So that you back it into this earth, how do you want to live? You want to live in such a way that you're connected to other people. I was listening to you on the way in, and the first thing that strikes me about God in the traditional religions is that God loves us. God loves everybody. You don't have to be a Catholic or a Christian to be a child of God. A Buddhist, a Jew, a Hindu, someone from an atheistic family is already a child of God. Some people in Christianity will look at it and say, well, you have to profess Jesus with your heart and your soul. And they will quote John 3, I forget the exact verse, but unless you be baptized in water and the Spirit.
Well, the one they hold up at the football games, 3:16, no.
No, it's not that. It's another text.
Want me to get my Bible?
No. We could get the Bible, but...
Okay. I think it's John 6:12, the only way to the Father is through me.
See that? The rabbi is an open-minded rabbi.
Very good.
Which makes me, I must say, a little edgy. And I'm going through the fire, and I'm saying, look, I'm willing to deal with this. I'm willing to even accept that the only way to be saved is by Jesus. That may be true, but we aren't going to know until we die. We aren't going to know until we get there. And when we get there, if at the gates Jesus is there welcoming us, there'll be a lot of Jews saying, son of a bitch.
Well, let me rephrase the question.
We could have had lobsters and pork all these years, and what were we doing?
Let me talk about what I was talking about a couple of hours ago, in case somebody hasn't, and that was the following. That I'm just relating it to myself because that's the only person I can relate it to. So I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus was the Son of God. But I don't believe that that's the only way to salvation. But because, I can't look at Rabbi Gelman, and so I don't believe in my heart that Jews or Muslims or any of those other people do not have as valid an answer as I do. And I guess, and Charles thinks I'm in trouble, and he's probably right. And the thing that I wonder about is some Christians, and other religions, I'm not picking on Christians, but feel that that's it. Like I listen to this guy from the Promise Keepers, this Bill McCartney, and they're pretty hard line. I mean, to them, theirs is the only answer, and I keep saying to myself that can't be. I mean, I can be my answer. I can believe in God, which I do, and I can believe that Jesus is the Son of God, which I bought into that. I believe that. I mean, I had to believe something. I believe that, but I don't think that Rabbi Gelman has any less valid of an answer than I do. And so my question is, I know it's convoluted, but then what kind of a Christian does that make me?
It makes you an excellent Christian in my mind. The fact that I believe with you that Jesus is the Messiah, that Jesus is the way to the Father, doesn't mean that I don't believe that Jews, Muslims, Hindus don't also get to God through Jesus. The difference is some people on this earth believe that and live that way, and that's the basis of their belief. So it's important for you and for me to believe that the religion that we're from is the most important religion. However, when we talk to somebody else...
I don't think mine is the most important. I just think it works for me. I think the others are as valid, and I don't think these other... you said that these other, the Muslims, all of them, Jews, have to get to God through Jesus. Well, they don't believe that, though. They don't think they have to. They think Jesus made some pretty nice furniture.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Did a couple neat tricks, but...
But I'm saying, similar to what Mark is saying, when we die, if we experience that Jesus is the Messiah, and I believe that he is, we'll also experience Jesus as loving everyone and saying, some people came to me directly through the Eucharist, through the Bible, through praying to me, and other people came to me because they tried to live a good life.
But I think, Donald, you're right. There is a difference. There are some Christians, and particularly you see it in the evangelical community, and you see some of that surfacing in...
They get angry about it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I respect that view, and I don't feel demeaned by it. I don't feel insulted by it. Some Jews think it's anti-Semitic, that only through Jesus. I said, no, this is their belief, and they believe that their religion is true. Why would you want someone to follow a religion they didn't think was true? The problem with it is that it doesn't have spiritual generosity. It isn't generous to others. Now, that's just the way that religion is. Judaism has taught from its very beginning that the righteous of all nations will inherit what we call the Olam Haba, the world to come, which Christians call heaven. And we've believed that from the very beginning. And Muslims have the same kind of spiritual generosity as well. You don't have to say the Shahada, which affirms Allah as God's prophet. You don't have to say that to be saved. So I think really what we're looking at is the solution to your problem, Donald, is a few weeks of study with me and conversion to Judaism. I think really that is really the answer for you, Donald.
Can you be a good Christian? Can you be a Christian and believe as I apparently think I believe?
Yes. I mean, I believe the
That
same.
it's not the only answer.
It isn't the only answer. I don't
but
think
Christians believe that. But I know some Christians who believe that
He's
it
been
is.
hanging with the rabbi too long.
No, but I know some who think that it's the only answer, and that if you don't accept Christ as your personal Savior, you are lost. That there's no opportunity for salvation. I know Christians who believe that way.
We are fond of saying it's very important to believe that your parents are special, the most important people in the world. But that doesn't mean you can't believe that somebody else's parents aren't the best for them. And the same thing in terms of faith. God has implanted a soul in each person, and it's the soul that goes on. Do you think that God would have created people and not cared for them? God is loving to us, and God isn't saying, just as when you have a couple of kids and you notice that each one of them is different, you love them in different ways. And one might react, with this belief system and another with a belief system as long as they're trying to be good. And, I've said to Mark, when we've talked about this, I said to him, I believe that Jesus is divine, but I don't know what divinity is. I haven't seen divinity. I've only lived humanity. So the basic message that I say to people of every religion is try to be a good human being. Try to love. I believe in the Gospels because they teach me how to live. I want to live the way Jesus did.
Yeah, emulating the life of Jesus is not a bad way to go. Well, it's probably a pretty good idea then just to believe in everything.
Or to believe.
Just to cover your bases, right, Chuck? Because when you show up at the gate there, as you were just talking about earlier, you're not going to be surprised. You say, well, yeah, I bought into that too.
The problem today is not so much Catholics versus Protestants versus Jews versus Hindus. It's people who believe in something versus people who believe in nothing. Mark, for example, when Mark reads the Torah, and I watch him, and he is loving that text and trying to take that and put it into his soul, that's the same thing I'm trying to do with the gospel. That's the same thing that a Muslim is trying to do with the Quran.
And the place we go after we die is the same place. You call it heaven.
And the same God.
We call it Olam Haba in Hebrew. That means the world to come. Now, Olam Haba, Olam is world, Haba to come. But there's an Aramaic, so it's the place you go where nothing much happens and you sit around a lot. So there's an old Aramaic translation for Olam Haba that says it's to be translated Boca Raton.
Shut up.
But I don't know what they meant by that. I don't know what they intended by that. It's just some place where we all go and nothing much happens.
Annabelle Arbor,
but it's
right.
nice. It's nice, and we go there, and everybody's there.
It is 16 to the hour here on the Imus Morning Program. We're talking with Rabbi Mark Gelman Monsignor, Tom Hartman, and Rabbi gave me his new book here, Always Wear Clean Underwear, and other ways parents say, I love you, and he didn't want me to plug it. He just wants me to read it. And I've never read it. Did you know that? I mean, I haven't.
I know.
I'm going to read it.
Good. That's all I want.
Well, it's a recent book. And
it's a book
takes
about
a little time to read.
It's a book about all the things your parents tell you all the time and what they really, really mean.
Yeah.
Like eat your vegetables, share your toys, stand up
So it's
straight.
helpful for parents, or?
It's about the moral education of children. It's sort of like bedtime stories to teach your kids how to be decent.
So if you had a kid, you should read him this.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. You guys want to hang out while I do some commercials? And man, you've gotten fat. You know that? What is the deal with you?
I'm bulking up for God's grace.
What? You are?
I am,
Well, he's not fat, but I mean, he's putting a little weight, doesn't he?
Well, you know what the influence is. He's the Jets chaplain. We can talk about that later.
Are you?
I am.
Yeah. He goes to all the games and prays.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah, people think it's Parcells who has accounted for the success of the Jets.
We know it is Parcells.
Is this the first year you've done this?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think you can discount that.
What was the record last year?
1 and 15.
Exactly my point.
They're 8 and 4 this year.
This is the breaking news, Donald. We now have the reason for the success of the Jets.
It's a quarter till the hour here.
Actually, in a lot of ways, I see my desire for fame as my bid for immortality. I fear death. I fear moving into non-existence. It's an odd concept. I mean, everybody in this room knows they're going to die. I doubt if one person in this room feels they're going to die. I don't think we can come to grips with that fact. But it is something you think about a lot. You ever watch movies from the 30s and think to yourself, geez, everybody in this movie is dead now. I watch movies from the 70s and I think, geez, all of the dogs in this movie are dead now.
Imus in the morning.
98.1 The Peak. WPEK.
There is a misconception floating around that you have to break the bank to enjoy fine dining.
Till the hour, and I'm Imus. We're talking with Monsignor Tom Hartman and Rabbi Mark Gelman. Who are these people who you dedicated this book to? Rabbi Gelman?
All my family who taught the list of things parents say all the time to all their children.
Saul, Rosalie,
That's
Arthur,
my
and
mom
Mary?
and dad.
Arthur and Mary, who are they?
That's my wife Betty's parents. And they
Leo,
taught-
Sarah, Mark, who are they?
That's my
Max.
grandparents.
Dora, who's that?
Dora's my grandma.
Who's the governor?
The governor was Betty's grandpa. That was her father's father.
Who's Gregory?
Gregory's my nephew, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's son.
Who's Aaron?
My other sister-in-law and brother-in-law's son.
Well, so I just want to see if you actually knew.
Yeah.
You know,
I knew what you're doing. You give us a call. You know what?
I actually
you
know.
know what Charles and his wife Connie been doing for years, which I think is great. There's a place called Eva's Kitchen out there in New Jersey, someplace.
Patterson.
Yeah, and a couple of times a month, Connie, which I'm thankful to see that she still hasn't forgotten her way out to the kitchen, goes out to the kitchen, and they make, and she cooks up, entrees, desserts. They make salads for like 100 people, and then they put it in the rolls or whatever, and haul it over to this, and they do it. They've been doing it for years.
You'd be surprised how many people do that.
My
Bill
wife got in the. My wife, she won't take the limo. You know, she gets 5 or 6 bags of clothes, gets in a cab, and takes them downtown Manhattan to this shelter. Gets out, drags them in there.
It's really good for the
a
soul.
battered women's deal.
Don, before we were talking about a theoretical issue, like whose God is the right God. But the reality is that's what we're called to do. In Matthew's gospel, it says, you meet somebody who's hungry, you feed them.
The reason I mentioned that is you guys were talking about this soup kitchen, yeah.
We went to the Franciscan bread line. It's on 31st Street between 6th and 7th. And the Franciscans have been doing this for 70 years, 7 days a week. At about 6:30 in the morning, about 250, 300 people line up. The women go first, and the men. And the brothers, and they gave Mark a cape, actually, one of them.
Yeah.
They look real good in it. But they have this theory of love. You feed somebody who's hungry. And what happens initially when you're standing there, they're fearful. They're fearful that you're an informant, that you're...
Well, they were fearful of me. They said, the guy with the big nose looks like a cop. They said to you do look like a priest and we trust you. We don't trust the other guy. So I had to stand off on the side before they would take the food.
And there are hundreds of people who show up there every morning.
Hundreds. We met this woman,
That's
Dorothy.
the problem.
It is.
We met this woman, Dorothy, who has a job during the day. Every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, she goes to a bakery, she gets food, and she just stands on the line for an hour. Now, she not only gives food, but she looks at some of these people and says, I need a hug. Give me a hug for today. Because the idea is not just to give food, but to look into somebody's eyes and say, you're capable of loving.
Don, you can't believe it. There's a woman on the line. Of course, there were a lot of people who fit the stereotype of down and out people. There were a lot of minorities on the line, but there are a lot of homeless people who are just people you wouldn't figure fit the mold, and they're there too. I met a woman who was a college-educated woman. I guess maybe she got into drugs. I didn't go into that with her, but she was down and out on her luck. They took her kid away from her. She's sitting there with her new friend, her boyfriend, and she's sitting there looking at me with this joyous smile. And I said, you look really happy. What happened? And she said, I found a bottle of water today that wasn't opened. That was what brought joy to her day. And so the point of us going there, we did this piece for Good Morning America where we wanted to show people.
Also, this is like a PR thing you guys are doing.
Well, yeah, because we want to help the Franciscans.
Wait a minute. I didn't realize there are TV cameras there.
Well, we do that without that, too.
Oh, okay.
Tommy's the head of Island Harvest, and they
Wait
do a
a
lot of
minute
work
here.
out there.
Not so fast.
Occasionally, there's only...
It's really good for the soul.
It is.
I mean,
So this is a woman sitting there with nothing, and she's still thankful. That's the point. Here we are, most of us, a bunch of whining weasels, and we look around and we can't even raise our head because we're so smothered with blessings. And here are people with nothing
out on the street, yeah,
and they are thankful. So it's really important to get back to that, understand that we are just abundantly blessed, and we have every reason to thank God.
We have about a minute left here.
Well,
we have some kind of resolution to all of this, or
yeah.
That.
Why are you glaring at me today? What did I do? When
No.
I said you were fat, you're not
Yeah,
fat.
that's what it is.
I apologize. You're not fat. You put on a few pounds, but so am I. So. You look good, though. You're still handsome.
Right.
Did you see the priest and not the priest, but the preacher and the Little Mermaid? How about that?
You know, there are a lot of priests every day who do a lot of good. And these are the ones that we should be grateful
it's
for.
It's not the preacher's fault. It's the cartoon.
Yeah,
it's the cartoon.
absolutely. Animator.
Yeah, we were animated on our HBO special, and I'm going back to look at it.
I wish I could get involved in that.
I'm going to go back and look at every frame with a microscope now.
So you have some thoughts on Thanksgiving, Father Tom, or something?
I do.
Okay.
I really believe that we're all gifted, but there's one Spirit. And we all have different ways of following God, but there's one Spirit. And we may have different religions, but there's one Spirit. And God is asking us to take the gifts we have and share them with each other. And when we do that, we stop asking those questions as to whose religion is better. And we just realize that there's a lot more good to be done for God each day.
We want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to everyone who's listening, and we ask God to give us a year to find each other and to find a way to thank God for all our blessings.
Rabbi Mark Gelman, Father Tom Hartman. Thanks very much, you guys. 3 minutes now till the hour.
Imus in the morning. 98.1 The Peak. WPEK.
CNN Radio News, I'm Pat St. Clair. The failure of a major brokerage house in Japan has sent the stock market plunging. CNN Radio's John Lewis is in Tokyo.
With losses across the board, not surprisingly, financial issues being the hardest hit, the Nikkei average dropped over 850 points, or 5% on the day. But the crisis in the Japanese markets is not necessarily one of money. The Japanese government apparently has plenty of that and says it's willing to spend it. The crisis is one of confidence. And until the government shows it's ready to take drastic measures to clean up the financial sector, it could well continue. John Lewis, CNN Radio, Tokyo.
Iraq has accused U.S. weapons inspectors of being spies, but it appears Iraq has been doing some spying of its own. A New York Times report says Iraqi intelligence agents have successfully spied on the inspectors for the past year, so much so that the Iraqis knew in advance where inspection teams were going, giving them a heads up to hide weapons. This is CNN Radio News.
Do straighten things out, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the hell I think, Do you ever...
Do you go through periods of self-doubting? Of course you do.
Just don't know what to...
Everybody does, eh?
Who I think is a creep is that guy from Promise Keepers, Bill McCartney. I don't know why I do. I don't like him. I like the idea of Promise Keepers, and I think, as I was telling somebody that we were talking about my friend Patricia Ireland, some of these other folks getting hysterical about these guys coming home. And like Larry Kenny, he and I were talking about it one day. He said, well, at least they're coming home. They're coming home.
That's true.
Anyway, so here we have now on the cover of, I don't know why they do this. You just have to ask yourself. But this woman had this 7 kids, it's Bobby McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
She got some Whitaker Chambers teeth going for her.
Fine.
Christine Todd Whitman.
Well, I only did that in case Sam Tannenhouse is listening.
Yeah.
My man, Sam. And they, in fact, I said something to Deidre about it, and said the girl got some tufas they're working on. And now we have a situation where I have them both at home. The cover of Time, they left it alone. Of course, wasn't it Time got in a jam trying to make O.J. look like Michael Jackson?
Exactly.
I like that. Anyway. And now we've got Newsweek touching the girls' teeth up. Touching their teeth.
Yep. Whitened them and straightened them.
Newsweek is just what a horrible magazine. Ugh. I subscribe to it, but it's just so lame. A little conventional wisdom box. They're just so stupid. I mean, they're just so annoying.
Why do you let these things get under your skin?
Why do I let
so
Newsweek
much?
annoy me? I don't know. It just does.
But
They
I mean-
have crummy cover. They cover it a little bit, but it's just a crummy magazine.
But you get physically angry.
Plus, try to get it, you know? I mean, I have 15 million people to listen to this radio program in this country. 15 million. That's not insignificant. Plus a significant number on television. So somebody over at Time Magazine got to thinking about that and figured, well, maybe we ought to get him a copy of the magazine, you know, when we get it to the rest of these people. So I get Time Magazine now on Saturday. When do you think I get Newsweek? And I subscribe to it. Or Deirdre does. Wednesday.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, that is.
What are they thinking about? No, so then, I go, well, no. I got what they call a green copy. They sent over here yesterday. So what was yesterday? Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Too late.
It's too late. Now they're touching up the girls' toofas.
Trailer park teeth.
Yeah. Well, we can't have that, can we? Can we?
Well, you would think in view of all the controversy over the Time OJ cover that they wouldn't, you know, they'd learn a lesson here.
I'll tell you who I do believe, though. I have compassion for. There's Kelly Flynn. I saw the girl last night on Larry King. I had the picture-in-picture thing going, watching a football game. It was clear Denver was going to kill Oakland. So I was watching Larry. I like Larry, my friend.
Fine.
I'm going to be on Larry's show the 16th, by the way, in December.
Oh, okay.
For I don't know why, but
Doofus night.
I like Larry King. He's gotten better too. He stopped kissing up to people. I think he's taken some counsel from that man.
Perhaps.
Yeah. But you know, I believe Kelly Flynn. I mean, I think she got. I think there's a double,
as it were.
Well, a double. Well, the girl made a couple of hideous mistakes, and she lied, and we understand. We all understand that. So, anybody who's been married more than once made a mistake, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all made mistakes for whatever reason they were, you know. So anyway, then they had that old Sheila Wittenauer on, that old bag from. You know, former Secretary of the Air Force, right?
It's an unfortunate characterization.
Well, she
of
is.
man.
It was a rigid old, frigid old bag. And then some bald-headed stooge from some general in the Air Force who's a rigid old bastard. So that's all of it. Anyways, 10 minutes after the hour, and it's time now for the national news. Well, I'm angry about. I'm steamed about a number of things.
I can understand that.
And those are some of them.
But not all.
No. It's time now for the national news, and here with that is Charles McCord. Good morning, Chuck.
Morning, man. 36 more Air Force planes, have arrived in the Gulf to supplement American military forces building there. An Air Force spokesperson confirming that all elements of the 347th Air Expeditionary Wing are now busy setting up shop at a base in Bahrain. He says the 12 F-15 fighters and 18 F-16s, couple of B-1 bombers, and 4 refueling tankers flew in over the past few days. There are now more than 300 United States planes in the Gulf area and more than 30,000 American service personnel. For a fourth straight day, UN weapons inspectors are searching sites in and around Baghdad, with President Clinton continuing to demand total access to all suspect sites, including so-called Saddam Hussein palaces.
The ordinary American would hear the word palace and they would think a very fancy residence for a head of state or a member of a royal family. There are 78 such palaces in Iraq. Many of them are huge compounds. Some of them actually encompass more land than Washington, D.C. does.
Meanwhile, there's a report this morning that Iraqi intelligence agents have been able to successfully spy on the inspectors and have done so for better than a year, finding out which sites were being targeted, allowing the Iraqis time to go in ahead of the inspection teams, get stuff out, and hide it someplace else. The New York Times quotes U.S. military and intelligence officials as saying the Iraqi agents knew well in advance where the teams were going through various things, electronic eavesdropping and what have you.
Kind of an Alger Hiss thing going on there, right, Chuck?
Exactly. If you're listening, Sam. Also in the top story's eye, a judge's ruling could do away with any motivation for lawyers to delve into Paula Jones' sexual past.
What's up with here now?
A U.S. district judge has ruled that Ms. Jones can amend her sexual harassment lawsuit against the president to drop defamation claims against an Arkansas state trooper. Ms. Jones says Trooper Danny Ferguson damaged her reputation by claiming she was eager to become President Clinton's mistress, then Governor Clinton. A lawyer for Ferguson said Jones' past, therefore, would be relevant if he was going to try to disprove a claim that her reputation was damaged, and so that is now out. And it is one thing, I suppose, for the leader of the free world to want to see a film called Boogie Nights, a movie about the pornography industry and a porn star in the 70s. It is quite another for President Clinton to discuss the fact, his request to show the film in the White House theater and talk it over with Daily Variety columnist Army Archerd. The film stars Mark Wahlberg and Burt Reynolds and about an extremely well-endowed, coke-snorting male porn star played by Wahlberg, who wears a special prosthesis
I don't think
for
it's
the role.
extremely well endowed. It seems pretty much average to me.
Well, it did to me, too, but I guess...
No big deal.
Not a huge deal.
Ain't no thing.
Has a 13-inch wiener.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
No,
is it?
that's not, as a matter of fact.
Doesn't everybody?
As far as I know, I think it's kind of the American standard. I thought, I mean.
I thought too, right, Burning? Yeah. All right now.
Well, all right. Don't get no fight started in here.
Don't be on your best behavior here now.
And the brother of Unabomber suspect Ted Kaczynski is headed to California to try to save his brother's life. David Kaczynski claims prosecutors reneged on a promise to look at Ted Kaczynski's mental state before seeking the death sentence.
No, he's fine.
It was David who told investigators that his brother might in fact be the Unabomber.
Wow.
Ted Kaczynski has so far refused to be examined by government experts. David's lawyer says he left his home in New York State Monday to drive 3,000 miles to Sacramento, where jury selection in the Unabomber trial is due to resume today. And British au pair Louise Woodward apparently has a new home. Source telling the Associated Press she and her father have moved into the suburban Boston home of one of her lawyers, Elaine Whitfield Sharp. They'd been staying in a rather pricey hotel.
I wonder if she has any kids. Maybe see how committed they are to the case. She lets Louise sit for her kid.
The source tells the AP that the 19-year-old's father was uncomfortable staying in a pricey hotel.
Oh, darn.
With the bill paid for out of money raised by supporters. He wasn't comfortable with that, and so they've made other arrangements.
Senator Bob Kerrey is coming up. We're going to hold his little feet to the fire and see what's up with him.
Sure,
huh?
make him squeal.
Yeah, we're not going to make him squeal, Charles. I was thinking if we were holding these feet to the fire, one of them would catch fire.
No, you idiot.
Yeah, just
what a moron.
Honest to God, what is wrong with you?
Well, at least I didn't say it to him.
Yeah, good guy. That makes it better.
What's wrong?
Well, I don't even know what to say.
I know, it's inexcusable. All right, Senator Bob Kerrey, Nebraska, is coming up quarter after the hour. All right, here now, Imus in Washington, Senior Military Affairs Advisor, the late General George S. Patton, Jr.
At ease, as you were. I have asked you people to join me here in the ready room today because we're about to take a very, very important and unilateral step.
Thunderstorm,
It
didn't
did. It sounded like rain.
Yeah.
It was the best I could find. Scottie Pippen wants to be traded.
I really love it when you and Warner get into production values here on the program.
Come on.
Go ahead.
Told an Illinois newspaper yesterday he wants to be traded to the Suns or the Lakers.
Right.
He does not want to return to the Bulls when he's recovered from his recent foot surgery. What does Coach Phil Jackson have to say about it?
I have no reaction to it, basically. I have no comment to it. I have a reaction to it, obviously, but I have no comment to it.
Why don't you buy him a book? Idiot.
Of course, then after that, he went on to comment about it.
I did.
That was his initial comment.
Sure. Great.
How about Michael Jordan? Well, of course, he put it into proper perspective.
This is the crossroad of this organization in some respects, you know. The future is right in front of them.
A few words of wisdom from Air Jordan.
Behind him.
Meanwhile, the Bulls' greatest rival, the Knicks, they'll be without Charles Oakley for the next game. Oakley suspended one game for his role in a fight Sunday against Vancouver. He hit the Grizzlies' Otis Thorpe after Thorpe had slashed Oakley under the basket with a box cutter. Oakley was also fined $7,500. NBA last night, Washington Wizards lose again. That's 6 in a row. They're beaten by the Magic. Forward Chris Webber was asked,
How about the football game?
Football game was won by the Broncos 31-3.
Thanks.
So we'll press on from there, or
Okay,
shall
go
we
ahead.
wrap it up?
No, go ahead.
Well, the baby got famous in his crib, you see. Doing the hand jive on TV. Hand jive, hand jive, hand jive. Doing that crazy hand jive. Hey, Imus in the morning.
98.1 The Peak. WPEK.
What are you talking about?
No, you're not coming to my thing tonight.
No, I'm not. I told you know. Should I be a phony?
No.
I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't go to people's houses at who serve liquor.
Well,
I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober for 10 and a half years, and I don't. People don't understand it. I don't give a damn.
Well,
And people, if they're going to serve alcohol, I am not going to go. Period.
I told you I'd hold the bar up.
It's more important to me to be sober than it is to please somebody at Thanksgiving or any other time.
Well, what
I'm
hurts?
very happy about your. This is a big deal, by the way. The Bo Dietl Detective Agency, Bo Dietl and Associates, is one of the foremost detective agencies in the country, and they have this huge new office over in Midtown Manhattan at the old Daily News building, and it's a huge deal. They're having a big grand opening tonight, and I'm not going to be there.
The New York Times wrote an article in the Sunday paper even about it.
I know that.
Our opening. But you know what hurt me a lot?
What
hurt me was what you told me yesterday, that you'd rather give oral stimulation to Lawrence Taylor's penis than come to my party.
No. What are you talking
That's
about?
wrong.
No.
That's wrong.
No. Stop.
But you said it in other words.
No. I just said I would rather do that.
But I mean that.
I was kidding,
would
Bo.
Would you rather do that again? You said.
No. I was kidding. What's wrong with you? What are you, nuts?
I started to lose it a little bit.
Well, you act like you're drunk.
No. I've been running. I've been jogging. You told me I looked fat the other day. I'm starting to run now.
Why didn't you call me and discuss this off the air?
Well, because I love you, and I want you to come.
Not Lawrence Taylor.
98.1 The Peak. WPEK.
CNN Radio News completed another in sports. Have to insist on asking these people after every game they play these inane questions that they can't answer anyway.
Right.
And they're the same questions.
So what's your point?
Well, my point is, why don't we just play the games, report the score, and move on?
And leave it alone.
And leave it and them alone.
All right. That's fine then.
So.
Don't give them brain twisters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
Maybe I'm playing them just so I can get a response from our fine producer.
Well, that could be, but it's in the process, it's irritating me. It's 30 minutes past the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. What else is going on?
Great college basketball game last night. Austin College beat Southwestern Adventist 103-20. Southwestern Adventist had 48 turnovers in the game, 25 fouls.
That's enough. I mean, I don't care about this. Are there any other sports stars? Anything I should know about? Is there a football game on
How
tonight?
come you don't do this to Warner?
Because Warner's, I told you, Warner's fragile, and I
let him go on.
Warner
and do
has
the stuff he
pictures.
wants.
I don't know. I can't be mean to Warner.
But
for
me,
some
you're
reason.
mean to.
Well, because you can.
You're a
take
loyal employee for 8 years now.
You can.